my name's Seth, I am ENDESGA, and this is how to implement intuitive, easy to use, and responsive UI animations. And these three things, responsiveness, smoothing, and clarity, can make any user interface extremely easy to use and navigate. They're important. UI goes hand in hand in UX, which is user experience, rather than user interface. Interface is what you see, experience is how you use it or interact with it, and to both of them combined are actually incredibly important. We do in fact put them together, you actually get a really nice, complete experience, which is important, especially for apps or games. In my case, in Nycra, all of the user interfaces follow these rules, follow these specific guidelines that I have set. And in a complete package, it seems to work. I've had a lot of positive feedback. Remember, responsiveness, smoothing, and clarity. Then your user interface will be very nice. Let's get straight into it. Bam! Right, okay, so first you need to begin with adding in the respective scripts. Now these scripts are actually, you can make them on the spot. I don't really need to put them down in the description if you can download them. All you need to do is open up. You can't see anything. Wow, this really is the first tutorial I've ever done. Well, let's move my little face around. Where is it? Whee! Okay, let's go down to this corner here. That's probably a bit better. Right, so you want to go to the scripts. You want to create a script. Call it anything you want. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. Maybe you can click on it. You can press F2 if you want to quickly rename it instead of right-clicking. All these little shortcuts, very useful. I call mine reach tween. Right. So all you need to do, it's fairly simple. First of all, we need to make the font a lot bigger so you guys can actually see. This script is fairly simple. You want to start off and type in return, which, by the way, if you're very new to GML, I mean, this is going to be a somewhat advanced tutorial, but if you are a beginner, return inside a script means whatever's inside the brackets, that is what it will output. So you can have something like x equals tween or some sort of script name and then whatever you want, and the return would make it whatever you are connecting it to on the outside script, if that makes any sense whatsoever. Okay, so this return open bracket, you want to type in lerp. Lerp is a very interesting function. You add 3 arguments. The first one is the first variable, the first quantity. The second one is the second quantity. And the third one is a scale from 0 to 1 of how much it is between the two. This can be very useful, especially if you have something like a complicated position and then another complicated position in the screen. You don't want to have these like weird variables all these different timers. You literally have one position, the other position inside the lerp, and then you go from 0 to 1. You can have an animation timer, it could be absolutely anything, and 0 is the first argument, and 1 is the second argument, and it will basically blend between the two. It's very useful. In this case, though, we're using that to our advantage. We can go argument 0, which is the first thing that we're putting inside the script brackets, and then the second one is argue, if I can spell, argument 1, and the third one, 1 divided by argument 2. So the reason we're doing 1 divided by is because what we're going to be inputting is a dividable scalar amount. So we're going to put in like 7 or 20 or 2. Doesn't really matter what it is, but as long as we have 1 divided by that amount. And what that will do is that when we're outputting the variable using the return, we can go, for example, x equals reach tween, the name of our script, open bracket, x, which is the same variable, comma, some sort of goal that it's going to go to, comma, 7. And what we'll do is we'll get the distance between those 2 points divided by 7 and add it onto x. Okay, so we're going to close these off. Very nice. Quickly save, and then that's basically it. The next few steps are fairly simple. All we need to do is go into objects, open up an object, create an object, or if you already have an object, open up the one that you want to use. It doesn't really matter what the situation is, as long as you have somewhere to put the script, because, you know, you make a script, you gotta use it. In this case, we're going to go create, and we're going to do something that's a little interesting. In our UI, little fake little UI that we're going to make right here, we are going to have a list of things that we're going to scroll through, right? So this could be incredibly useful. I use it for absolutely everywhere in Nycra, and all the lists and all the inventories and all everything. I will make it, hopefully this one that I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to make it really interesting and have it so it's a cyclic animation. We're going to make an array, right? And this array is going to contain pieces of information. It doesn't really matter what sort of information is inside the array, as long as you have an array. This can also be used for things like a data structure list, or 3D arrays, or even, I think, maps and grids. Data structure, yeah, that should work too. Anything that really has a number, a position, and a certain output of information. So what we're going to do is we're going to quickly put in a random array. I'm just going to type it array 0, and we're going to make it something like, I don't know, book. And dagger. There we go. It doesn't really matter what you have inside the array, as long as you have that sort of pieces of information in a list. You can define a number, whatever it might be. Okay, so the next step is actually quite simple. We're going to go straight into the drawer. We go here, we go drawer. Right, so inside the drawer event, we're going to go for var I is equal to 0. I is less than. Now this is the important bit, because you want to be able to only draw the pieces of information inside the array. Nothing more, nothing less, whatever it might be. In this case, we're using an array, a 1D array. So we're going to go array, and it should come up with the little prompts here. We're going to find array length 1D, right? Then we're going to type in the array name, which in this case it is called array, so it's not too difficult. I++. Right, so we're going to go draw text, and we're going to make it follow the mouse. So we're going to go mouse x, mouse y. We're also going to need a few variables, so we're going to go back into the create. We type in anim, short for animation, 0, and anim n, which is the animation that we're actually tweening using our script to go from whatever anim might be and nicely smooth blend between the points. Easy peasy. Then we're going to go into draw, bring this down a bit. Right, and anim is going to go plus equals mouse wheel down minus mouse wheel up. Very nice. We're going to go in and underneath it, anim n is equal to reach tween. Now this is the script that we have. So anim n, and the variable we're going to go to anim and 7. Very nice. So in here we're going to go draw text, mouse x, mouse y. We're going to bring this over a little bit, give us a bit more space since the font is very large. So go mouse x, mouse y. Now for the mouse y, this is where we're going to go plus I minus anim n times whatever certain amount we might have. Let's say the font is, I don't know, 10, 12 size. We're going to go maybe 16. We're going to put that all in brackets. Then we're going to go string, and string is going to be array of I. Easy. Now theoretically, that's it. That's all we really need to do. So we're going to go into the rooms, go into here, go into the instances, go to grab our object, and we're going to place it. Fingers crossed. Look at that. So if we scroll, here we go, it works. I mean, it's fairly primitive, but yeah, it works. Very hard to see, but if we scroll, it slowly moves up and down. Now, the one really interesting thing about this, though, is that the game is going 30 frames per second, I'm guessing. Oh, it is. Look at that. Done. So we're going to bring it up to 60 frames per second, which will make it a lot smoother, a lot nicer. Like this. Very nice. It's as easy as that, really. Like, it's not that difficult. All the other little details are generally the hard bits. So we're going to x plus, I don't know, 16. Maybe make this a bit more interesting. Maybe this go, you know, -8 to bring it up a bit, so it's a bit more in the center of the mouse. Maybe instead of 7, we can go 5, so it's a bit faster. And maybe we could constrict the animation. So we can go, for example, anim is equal to clamp, which stops the variable from going from 2 points. Anim, we're going to go... actually, we need to bring that up before here, do we? Because we need to make sure it changes before the animation wants to change. So I'm going to go anim, and then we're going to go 0, and then array length. In fact, it's exactly this. Array length -1. Done. So now when we have it, and we're going to scroll, it should hopefully stop at the bottom of the list and stop at the top of the list. Like that. Done. Fairly easy. So this will have your the actual output position you're on, because the anim is that one that you're on, right? So we're on book, we're on wand, sword, spell, helmet, gloves, dagger. Easy. As for something a little more complex, we can basically take this, but we'll comment it out for the moment. We go in here, we're gonna go draw text, same sort of idea, but we're gonna make it cyclic. So we're gonna make it so it moves down in a nice cyclic way. We're gonna also add a rotation to it. So in this case, we're gonna go back and type in draw text transformed, which allows us to scale it and to add all these different things. Now this is quite useful, especially for if you want some really cool animations. This can also be for sprites. It doesn't have to be for text, it doesn't have to be for arrays, it could be for absolutely anything. When you've got a certain amount of stuff and you can define each one with a number, that's what this is for. Very easy. So draw text transformed, again, mouse X, mouse Y. But these mouse X, mouse Y positions are now going to have both of them have a certain plus minus of an angle and movement to have that nice cyclic animation. So we're going to actually split them off. We can easily do this. Doesn't affect the code very much at all. String is going to be array of I, and then we're going to have to go X scale 1, Y scale 1, angle. Now the angle is going to be interesting because we have to basically define if it's going to be minus or plus a certain amount. I mean, it's not too difficult, but we basically need to go the same sort of thing. I minus the animation timer, anim n, times a certain amount. In this case, there's only like 6 or 7 things in there. If we want it to really cycle around, I mean, if you imagine 90 degrees, 45, 1125, whatever's, so we could go something like 10 or 12. I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to go something like 14. It's fine. But in the X and Y, this is where we have to add the length direction of X and Y. So we're going to go length direction, if I spell it correctly, length direction X. Now this is where it's going to be coming out from the mouse. So in this case, we're going to go, let's just say 32. We're going to really space that out just so you can see the effect quite prominently. Direction, it's going to be 0, but again, we're going to use the same sort of thing as the actual angle of the text as well. In fact, we could probably use the exact same code. Like this. And then we go plus of Y. And I mean, sometimes, especially when I'm doing things, I just chuck in things. I'll go, well, I want the direction. I did the direction before. I'll chuck it in. Will it work? Does it work? If it doesn't, we tweak it until it does. So in this case, there you go. It sort of works. Now, as you can see, it does. It's very hard to see. I mean, the font's incredibly small. I mean, if we go to fonts, create a font, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be anything particular. Font 1. But we're going to make it something like 40. Just so it's bigger. Just so it's easier to read. We're going to go draw, set, font FNT 1. We're going to have to make everything a lot bigger. In this case, I don't know, 48, 48, 28, 28. But the really interesting thing is that you saw that the items were going up rather than down. Now this is because angles, when you're going positive, if I'm facing the right direction, no, this one, yes, this one. Okay, so this is 0 to the right, and then you need to basically move it up. and then that's a positive number, so 0, 90, 180. If you want it to go so you're on the top one, you want them to move down, you basically have to put a negative on it. Very easy, very simple. We're going to get this variable here. We're going to put a negative in front of the multiplying value that we're putting onto the actual thing. So in this case, this should work. Like this. Ta-da! I mean, again, it's a little extreme. We don't really have to have that much of a rotation. We can really reduce it out. We can also expand this out and go something like 64, 64, bring that back down to something like, I don't know, 13, 13, 13, 13. Again, going back and forth, testing out what we like. Here we go. I mean, again, like, it's a little hard to read because the things are overlapping, but the idea is there. It's very easy to set up. We have all the things right where we want them. But if you play around with the variables, if you sort of space it out, I mean, you could, again, increase this something like 40. It really doesn't matter how you do it, but as long as you space things out and... well, that's interesting. And what you can do is you can actually make it so each of the images, or whatever you might have it, get deleted from the list or put on the list. So how to do that? Well, fairly simple. In this case, we're going to go I is equal to, we're going to go anim minus, we're going to go like maybe 2. Let's go 2. So anim minus 2. We're going to go max of anim minus 2. And then we want to go min. I'm going to go anim plus 2. Like that. And so, this will only draw the ones on the list. It appears we need another one. We'll go plus 3. See how that looks. So as you can see, it's fairly easy to use. You can add it for anything. You can have really cool little effects here. Very nice. There's also a whole bunch of effects we can do. So for example, behind this, we can go draw, set, color. If I can spell. Draw, set, color. And then we can use a very cool little trick in here. So go inside, we go I is equal to anim. Outside the bracket, question mark. Yes, question mark. We're going to go C aqua. Semicolon. Or is that a colon? Colon. We're going to go C light gray. And now once we try it, you will see that whatever one that we're on will be highlighted a certain color. Very useful, again, very easy to use. If we want to also make it, for example, have a more of a wider, I guess, shape to it, we can change this 64 to something like 100, whatever it might be, and then it will stretch it out so it's more of an oval rather than a circle. So you can see it also looks really cool, has a nice little effect. Now, the reach tween script can actually be used in whole other places. You can maybe have a box and then have each point reach tween to certain positions, or you can have it so a button reaches to a certain point, or someone comes into view to a certain point. You can use it for absolutely anything and everything. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this or found it useful, leave a like and subscribe for more, and maybe I'll make more. But thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.